The return. The cosmos held its breath. For 11 years, the human exploration vessel Prometheus had been declared lost, a casualty of humanity's relentless push into the unknown. The ship had vanished beyond the Orion Veil, that mysterious region where stars seemed to flicker and die, where something ancient stirred in the darkness between galaxies. Now, it had returned. Commander Thexlar of the Galactic Monitoring Station first detected the anomaly. His 3 hearts stuttered in sequence as his instruments registered impossible readings. Space itself seemed to ripple, bending in ways that defied every law of physics the consortium had ever recorded. "Alert the Council," he whispered, his mandibles clicking nervously. "Priority 1 transmission." The tear in reality opened slowly, deliberately, as if whatever emerged was in no hurry. First came the light. Not the harsh glare of engines or weapons, but something softer, like starlight filtered through crystal. Then the ship materialized, and Thexlar's breath caught in his thorax. The Prometheus had changed. Once a sleek vessel of human engineering, it now appeared as something both familiar and alien. Its hull seemed to flow like liquid metal frozen in time, covered in patterns that shifted when viewed directly. The ship pulsed with a soft, internal light that made nearby stars seem dim by comparison. Within hours, every major civilization in the galaxy had turned their sensors toward the phenomenon. The Krell Empire, the Vexian Collective, the United Terran Systems, all watched with a mixture of fascination and growing dread. Ambassador Zara Chen stood in the observation deck of Earth's primary defense station, her dark eyes fixed on the impossible sight. She had been a junior diplomat when the Prometheus disappeared, had attended too many memorial services, had seen the hope fade from the eyes of families who waited for news that never came. "Ma'am," her aide said quietly, "we're receiving a transmission." The message was simple, broadcast on all frequencies in perfect clarity. "We have returned. We bring morning." Panic spread through the galactic community like wildfire. The Krell immediately mobilized their war fleets, seeing the transformed vessel as a threat. The Vexians sealed their borders, their collective consciousness humming with fear. Smaller civilizations huddled in their systems, praying they wouldn't become collateral damage in whatever was coming. But Earth waited. Humanity had learned patience in their short time among the stars. 3 days after its return, a shuttle detached from the Prometheus. It moved with impossible grace, seemingly unaffected by inertia or the pull of gravity. As it approached Earth's defense perimeter, Ambassador Chen received clearance to meet the returning crew. The airlock opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. 2 figures stepped through, and Chen felt her world tilt on its axis. Captain Sarah Martinez and Dr. James Wong looked exactly as they had 11 years ago. Not a day older, not a hair out of place. But their eyes held depths that hadn't been there before, knowledge that seemed to press against the boundaries of human understanding. "Ambassador Chen," Martinez said, her voice carrying harmonics that shouldn't have been possible for human vocal cords. "We need to speak with the Council. All of them." "Captain," Chen replied, fighting to keep her voice steady. "You've been gone for 11 years. Your ship, what happened to you out there?" Wong stepped forward, and Chen noticed how the air seemed to shimmer around him, as if reality itself was uncertain of his presence. "We found something, Ambassador. Or rather, it found us. And now it's coming." The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened within hours, a testament to the fear that gripped every species. Representatives from dozens of civilizations packed the amphitheater, their various life support systems creating a cacophony of hisses and whirs. Captain Martinez stood at the center, unchanged by the hostile stares, and whispered accusations. When she spoke, her words carried clearly to every corner of the chamber. 11 years ago, the Prometheus crossed into what you call the Orion Veil. We were searching for answers to the dying stars, the dark patches that have been growing at the edges of known space. We found those answers. She paused, and in that moment, the lighting in the chamber seemed to dim, as if responding to her words. "There is something out there, something vast and ancient that moves between galaxies, consuming everything in its path. Stars, planets, entire civilizations, all become fuel for its endless hunger. The Krell ambassador, a massive reptilian being, slammed his fist on his podium. And you expect us to believe you survived an encounter with such a creature? That you return unchanged after 11 years? Martinez smiled, and several delegates flinched at the sight. We didn't survive, Ambassador. We were changed, evolved, given the tools we need to face what's coming. Dr. Wong activated a holographic display, and the chamber filled with images that defied comprehension. Shapes that twisted in impossible directions, entities that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, cosmic phenomena that made even the most advanced alien scientists look away in confusion. It's called the Devourer, Wong explained, his voice eerily calm. It exists outside our understanding of space and time. It feeds on the fundamental forces that hold reality together. And it's heading this way. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Accusations flew between species, old rivalries flared, and panic threatened to tear the fragile alliance apart. Through it all, the two humans stood silent, waiting. Finally, High Counselor Ventar of the Ethereal Concordat raised her crystalline appendages for silence. If what you say is true, how do you propose we fight such a thing? Martinez's expression hardened. We don't fight it. We can't. But we can guide it, redirect it. The beings that changed us, they gave us that knowledge, that capability. But we'll need every civilization working together. And why should we trust you? The Vexian representative demanded, their collected voice resonating through the chamber. How do we know you haven't been corrupted by this? Devourer. Wong stepped forward, and as he did, his form seemed to flicker, showing glimpses of something more, something evolved beyond standard human biology. Because if we had been corrupted, you would already be dead. The Devourer doesn't negotiate, doesn't infiltrate. It consumes. We're here because something older than the Devourer chose to give our species a chance. The implications hung heavy in the air. Humanity, the youngest race in the galactic community, had been chosen as saviors. It was almost too much to believe. Ambassador Chen watched the proceedings with growing unease. She had known Sarah Martins before the mission, had shared drinks with her at diplomatic functions. The woman standing before the council looked the same, but everything else about her had changed. Her movements were too fluid, her awareness too complete. It was as if she existed partially outside the normal flow of time. As the council debated, Chen noticed something else. The Prometheus crew members who had accompanied Martinez and Wong stood at the edges of the chamber, silent sentinels. They all shared the same otherworldly quality, the same sense of existing in multiple states simultaneously. The debate raged for hours, but Chen could see the writing on the wall. Fear would drive the council's decision, not trust. The alien races would demand proof, demand control, demand answers that the transformed humans might not be able or willing to provide. As if reading her thoughts, Martinez caught Chen's eye across the chamber. For a moment, Chen saw something in that gaze, a flash of the woman she had known, buried beneath layers of cosmic alteration. Ambassador, Martinez's voice echoed in Chen's mind, though her lips hadn't moved. We knew this would happen. We're prepared. Trust us. The council session ended without resolution, as Chen had expected. The alien races retreated to their sectors, mobilizing fleets and activating ancient defense systems. Some spoke of attacking the Prometheus, of eliminating the potential threat before it could manifest. But humanity waited, and watched, and prepared. In the depths of space, the Prometheus hung motionless, its transformed hull reflecting starlight in patterns that seemed to tell stories of distant galaxies and dying suns. Inside, the crew that had ventured into the unknown and returned forever changed made ready for what was to come. They had seen the face of cosmic horror and lived. They had been touched by beings older than time itself and given purpose. Now, as the galaxy teetered on the brink of panic and war, they would show why humanity had been chosen. The Devourer was coming, but this time, it would find humanity ready. The warning. The first signs appeared 3 weeks after the Prometheus returned. Stars along the galactic rim began to flicker, their lights stuttering like dying candles. Automated monitoring stations sent back corrupted data streams before going dark entirely. The Krell Empire, with territories closest to the affected region, reported entire patrol fleets vanishing without trace. Ambassador Chen stood in the secure command center beneath Geneva, surrounded by Earth's military leadership and scientific advisors. The holographic displays showed a cascade of red alerts spreading across the outer sectors. "It's beginning," Captain Martinez said from the center screen, broadcasting from the Prometheus. "The Devourer's approach distorts space-time. What you're seeing is just the bow wave." General Hammond, Earth's military commander, leaned forward. "How long do we have?" 6 months, maybe less. Martinez's eyes seemed to look through the screen, seeing something beyond the room. Time becomes flexible in its presence. The revelation sent shockwaves through Earth's government. 6 months to prepare for something that consumed galaxies. 6 months to convince a fractured galactic community to work together. 6 months to trust in humans who were no longer entirely human. On the Prometheus, Dr. Wong worked tirelessly in what had once been the ship's laboratory. The space had transformed like everything else. Walls flowing with patterns that resembled living circuitry, instruments that seemed to operate on principles beyond conventional physics. "The beings that changed us," he explained to a team of xenophysicists via secured transmission, "exist in what we might call the spaces between realities. They've been watching the Devourer for eons, studying it, learning its patterns. And they chose humanity as their instruments," asked Dr. Tiketh, the Vexian Collective's leading scientist. "Why?" Wong smiled, the expression carrying undertones that made several observers uncomfortable. "Because we're adaptable. Because we're stubborn. Because when faced with the impossible, we don't just accept it. We find a way to make it possible." As evidence of the Devourer's approach mounted, the galactic political landscape shifted. The Krell Empire, despite their military might, found their border worlds beginning to experience temporal anomalies. Citizens reported seeing events happen out of sequence, effect preceding cause. The Vexian Collective, their vast networked consciousness spanning thousands of worlds, began to experience disruptions. Parts of their shared mind went silent, cut off by growing areas of space where thoughts couldn't travel. Smaller civilizations fled toward the galactic core, seeking safety in numbers. Refugee fleets clogged shipping lanes, and resource wars threatened to erupt as panic spread. Through it all, the transformed humans of the Prometheus worked. They shared fragments of knowledge, pieces of a puzzle too vast for unaltered minds to comprehend. They showed the galaxy maps of space-time that revealed the Devourer's path, its feeding patterns, the wake of destroyed realities it left behind. Ambassador Chen found herself as the bridge between the changed crew and unchanged humanity. She spent hours in conference with Martinez and Wong, trying to understand what they had become and what they needed. The transformation wasn't just physical, Martinez explained during one late-night session. Our consciousness expanded. We can perceive dimensions you can't see, understand forces you can't measure. But we're still human at our core. We still care. That's why they chose us. "They?" Chen asked. "The architects," Wong answered. "That's what we call them. Beings so old that the universe we know is just one of many they've seen born and die. They can't directly fight the Devourer. They exist on too different a scale. But they can work through us." The breakthrough came when the Prometheus demonstrated its true capabilities. During a joint military exercise, a Krell battlecruiser suffered a catastrophic drive failure, its antimatter containment beginning to collapse. Before anyone could react, the Prometheus moved. Space folded around the human ship. In an instant, it appeared beside the stricken vessel, its transformed hull extending tendrils of energy that stabilized the failing containment field. The Krell crew was transported to safety moments before their ship would have detonated with the force of a small star. The rescue took less than 3 seconds and defied every known law of physics. That demonstration changed everything. The Krell Empire, impressed by both the power and restraint shown, became the first to formally ally with Earth. Others followed as the evidence became undeniable. Humanity had returned with abilities that might be the galaxy's only hope. But trust remained fragile. Secret meetings were held, contingency plans drawn up. Some species plotted to seize the Prometheus and its technology. Others prepared doomsday weapons, preferring mutual destruction to subservience under evolved humans. Captain Martinez addressed these concerns directly during a broadcast to all civilized worlds. "We understand your fear," she said, her image appearing simultaneously on billions of screens across thousands of planets. "We were afraid too when we first encountered the truth. But fear won't save us. Division won't save us. Only together can we hope to survive what's coming." She gestured, and the broadcast expanded to show the transformed crew of the Prometheus. Humans who moved like liquid light, who spoke in harmonies that touched the soul, who existed partially outside normal space-time. "We didn't ask for this change. We didn't seek this burden. But we accept it, because the alternative is the end of everything we know. We're not your rulers or your gods. We're your shields, your guides through the storm that's coming." As the weeks passed, more ships joined the Prometheus in orbit around Earth. Krell dreadnoughts, Vexian thought vessels, crystalline ethereal starshapers, all coming to learn, to prepare, to adapt human methods to their own technologies. The transformed humans worked tirelessly, teaching concepts that strained alien minds, sharing techniques that seemed to violate causality itself. Slowly, a plan emerged from the chaos. "We can't destroy the Devourer," Wong explained to the assembled scientific council. "It exists partially outside our reality. But we can guide it, channel it away from inhabited space, into regions where it can feed without destroying civilizations." "For how long?" demanded the Regellian ambassador. "Will we be forever running from this threat?" "No," Martins answered. "The architects showed us a possibility, a way to eventually satisfy its hunger, to guide it to a state of dormancy. But it will take generations, and it will require absolute cooperation." The plan was audacious, requiring the combined resources of every spacefaring civilization. Massive arrays would be constructed at key points throughout the galaxy, devices that could manipulate the fundamental fabric of spacetime. The Prometheus and its crew would serve as the nexus, their evolved consciousness directing energies on a scale never before attempted. As preparations accelerated, strange phenomena began occurring around the Prometheus. Crew members reported dreams of distant galaxies, visions of civilizations long extinct. Some began to manifest abilities that surprised even Martins and Wong. Telekinesis, precognition, the ability to exist in multiple places simultaneously. "We're still changing," Wong confided to Chen during one of their meetings. "The transformation isn't complete. We're becoming something more, something necessary for what's ahead." Chen studied her old friend, seeing both the man she had known and the cosmic entity he was becoming. "Does it hurt, the change?" Wong considered the question. "It's like growing pains, but for your entire existence. We feel the weight of knowledge we weren't meant to have, see truths that human minds weren't designed to process. But we also feel purpose, clarity, a connection to something greater than ourselves." 3 months before the Devourer's projected arrival, the first array came online. Built in the heart of a dying star system, it drew power from the collapsing sun itself. When activated, it created a ripple in spacetime that could be felt across light years. The test was successful, but it came with a cost. 3 members of the Prometheus crew, directing the array's energies, transcended physical form entirely. They became beings of pure energy, their consciousness merging with the fundamental forces they manipulated. "They're not gone. Martins assured the horrified observers. They've become part of the solution, guides in the spaces between realities. They'll help us when the time comes. As the galaxy mobilized for the greatest challenge it had ever faced, old enemies became allies, ancient feuds were set aside, and species that had never cooperated found common cause. The approaching horror had accomplished what no diplomat ever could: unity through necessity. But questions remained. Could the plan work? Would the transformed humans remain true to their word? And what price would the galaxy pay for survival? In the depths of space, the Prometheus waited, its crew preparing for a confrontation with a force that had consumed countless realities. They had been changed, elevated, given tools beyond imagination. Now they would learn if it was enough. The Devourer was coming, and humanity would stand as the galaxy's first and last line of defense. The decision. Time fractured as the Devourer approached. On frontier worlds, people experienced days that lasted seconds and moments that stretched for years. Children aged decades overnight, while others remained frozen in temporal loops. Reality itself began to unravel at the edges of known space. The Prometheus hung at the center of the largest fleet ever assembled, ships from every spacefaring race forming a protective sphere around the transformed human vessel. Captain Martinez stood on the bridge, her form now more energy than matter, her consciousness spread across multiple dimensions. "It's here," she announced, her voice resonating through every communication system in the fleet. Space tore open like a wound in reality, and the Devourer emerged. It defied description, existing simultaneously as absence and presence, void and substance. Sensors couldn't register its true form. They showed only distortions, gaps in existence where something fundamental was being consumed. Admiral Kraft of the Krell Empire watched his tactical displays fail one by one. "How do we fight something we can't even see properly?" "You don't," Dr. Wong replied, his image appearing on every screen. "That's not your role. Your ships are here to maintain the array network, to channel energy to us. We'll do the rest." The plan was elegant in its complexity. 12 arrays positioned throughout the galaxy would generate a quantum field, creating a path of least resistance for the Devourer. The Prometheus, with its evolved crew, would act as bait and guide, leading the cosmic predator away from inhabited space. But as the first array activated, something went wrong. The Devourer reacted violently to the quantum manipulation, its form expanding, reaching tendrils of non-existence toward the nearest inhabited systems. Planets began to dissolve, their matter unraveling at the atomic level. "It's resisting," Wang shouted over the chaos. "It's more aware than we thought." Ambassador Chen, monitoring from Earth's command center, felt her heart freeze. "Can you adapt? Change the plan." Martinez's reply came not in words but in images, flashes of possibility, probability streams branching into infinity. Chen saw paths where the galaxy died, where reality collapsed, where the Devourer consumed everything. But she also saw a single thread of hope, thin as spider silk. "There's another way," Martinez's voice echoed in every mind simultaneously. "But the cost." The alternative plan formed in their consciousness like a shared dream. Instead of guiding the Devourer away, they would feed it, not with matter or energy, but with something more fundamental. The evolved humans would offer themselves, their expanded consciousness, their connection to the higher dimensions. "You're talking about sacrifice," General Hammond said, his voice heavy. "All of you." "Not sacrifice," Wang corrected. "Transformation. We'll become part of it, guide it from within, reshape its hunger into something else." The Galactic Council erupted in debate. Some called it noble, others insanity. The Vexian collective calculated probability matrices, finding the chance of success at less than 12%. The Krell demanded alternatives, unwilling to let their saviors destroy themselves. But as they argued, the Devourer continued its advance. Star systems vanished, billions of lives ending in silence. Time distortions rippled outward, threatening to tear the galaxy apart. Captain Martinez made the decision. "Begin the transfer," she ordered, her form already beginning to shift, to transcend physical limits. The Prometheus moved forward, alone now, its hull flowing like liquid starlight. The evolved crew gathered on the bridge, their bodies becoming translucent, revealing the cosmic energies that now comprised their true selves. "Sarah, don't," Chen pleaded through the communication link. "There has to be another way." Martinez smiled, and in that moment, she looked entirely human again. "There is always another way, Zara, but sometimes the right way is the hard way. Remember us as we were, but don't mourn what we become." The Prometheus accelerated toward the Devourer, reality bending around it. As it approached the cosmic entity, the ship began to transform, its structure dissolving into pure energy, pure information, pure possibility. The crew's consciousness expanded, merging first with each other, then with the ship, finally with the Devourer itself. For a moment that lasted eternity, two forces met, the endless hunger of the cosmic predator and the infinite adaptability of human spirit. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the impossible happened. The Devourer's advance slowed, stopped, reversed. Its form began to change, the void tendrils retracting, the consumption ceasing. Where it had been an absence, it became a presence, vast, incomprehensible, but no longer destructive. Through the quantum arrays, a final message reached the Allied fleet. It came in every language simultaneously, carrying harmonics that touched the soul of every listener. "We are within. We are without. We are the bridge between what was and what will be. The hunger is redirected, the path altered. The galaxy is safe, but vigilance must remain. We will guide from beyond, guard from within. Remember, in the face of the impossible, humanity finds a way." The transformed Devourer retreated into the spaces between realities, taking with it the consciousness of the Prometheus crew. They had become something new, shepherds of cosmic forces, guardians of reality itself. In the aftermath, the galaxy struggled to comprehend what had occurred. Monuments rose on 1,000 worlds, commemorating the humans who had sacrificed their humanity to save all existence. Religious movements formed, scientific paradigms shifted, and political alliances reformed around the shared experience of near annihilation. Ambassador Chen stood before the Galactic Council 1 year later, representing not just Earth but the legacy of the transformed. "They showed us what it means to evolve," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. "Not just in body or mind, but in spirit. When faced with the ultimate predator, humanity didn't fight or flee. We adapted. We became something more." She activated a hologram showing the quantum arrays, now permanent fixtures throughout the galaxy. "These remain active, maintained by all our races together. They're not just defenses. They're beacons, connections to those who watch over us now." The Krell Emperor bowed his massive head. Humanity proved itself the youngest child who grew to save the family. "We are in your debt." "No," Chen replied. "We're in this together." That was their final lesson. Survival requires unity. Evolution demands cooperation. In deep space, where reality grew thin, sometimes ships reported strange phenomena. Glimpses of the Prometheus, now a being of pure light. Whispers in the void that sounded like human voices. Dreams shared across species, showing paths to greater understanding. The Devourer never returned in its original form, but sometimes, in the spaces between stars, observers reported seeing something vast and protective, something that watched over the galaxy with familiar eyes. Humanity had faced the impossible and chosen transformation over destruction. They had given themselves to become guardians of reality, proving that sometimes the greatest victory comes not from fighting the darkness, but from becoming the light that guides others through it. As for what happened to the crew of the Prometheus, they existed now in a state beyond conventional understanding. Not dead, not alive, but something more. They had touched the infinite and become part of it, their human spirit now woven into the fundamental fabric of the universe. They had shown the galaxy that when faced with cosmic horror, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology or military might. It was the ability to change, to adapt, to become whatever was needed to ensure survival. The cosmos had held its breath when humanity vanished. Now it breathed easier, protected by those who had transcended mortality to become eternal guardians. In the end, the youngest race had taught the oldest truth, that evolution never truly ends, and that sometimes, to save everything, you must be willing to become something entirely new. And somewhere, in the depths of space-time, the transformed crew of the Prometheus continued their eternal vigil, their human hearts beating in rhythm with the cosmos itself, forever watching, forever protecting, forever proving that in the face of the impossible, humanity always finds a way.